Hi, my name is Hannah Battersby. I'm in the production of Footloose, and if you want to know more, you can listen to this conversation. I fell in love with theater at a young age, as most people do. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a really artistic family that was kind of all in the film industry, very creative family. So I was kind of around that at a young age. So my parents both taught at a film school when I was young. And so I kind of grew up watching lots of old films, classic films growing up. And I knew I wanted to be on screen. I would look at these actors and actresses, and I was so ensconced and so captivated by their performances. And I knew I wanted to do that. So that was part of it. And then in terms of theater, I went to a few summer performing arts camps growing up. One specifically in Idlewild, California, around the time I was like 8 or 9. And that's when I really started performing on stage, doing some improv, comedy, singing, dancing. And I kind of found my voice and kind of found where I felt like I fit in and had all this energy. And I felt like I could put it somewhere. So yeah, I fell in love with it then. And well, I think as a kid, I wanted to be part of a world that was full of imagination, full of anything is possible, you know. It kind of gave me an outlet, it gave me a way to express myself. And as I grew up, though, you know, and discovered more about the industry and this is a business, and wanted to take it more seriously, I discovered that it truly has become part of like what I think the world needs more of, and why we do this and why we tell the stories that we do, and why um you know, it's all about bringing people together and inspiring people as it's inspired me throughout my life, and I want to give that back to the world too. I think I fell in love with acting when I was at a performing arts summer camp, and I was about 8 or 9, and I was in the theater program, and we had to do some improv on stage. And I remember this moment like viscerally, and still to this day. And I was so scared to do improv because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be funny. Like, I don't know if I'm going to say the right thing or do the right thing. And, anyways, I went up in front of my classmates and I made everyone laugh so hard. And everyone was just falling over. And they were like, Hannah, that was so funny. You were so great up there. And I just, that, I don't know, I felt so seen and so heard. And I was like, maybe I can really do this for a living. Maybe I can actually really have fun doing this. And that people actually do this as a job. Like, that's awesome. I wanted to be a part of that. Um, so yeah. And I think in terms of like growing up watching old movies and classic films and seeing that film history, Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep and um, let's see, Katharine Hepburn, Audrey Hepburn, those actresses all inspired me, I think, on the silver screen in a way, to become an actor, and their kind of vulnerability, their honesty, and kind of inspired me to try that as well. So I'm really grateful in that I've had a lot of amazing teachers throughout my life, acting teachers that have kind of taught me different techniques, Stanislavski, Meisner, you know, a whole range in terms of Shakespeare, more contemporary work, that I feel that now as a young professional, I've kind of developed my own way of kind of doing things. I've taken everything I've learned and kind of made my own technique, if you will. Um, I think I believe in general, I think it's important with any breakdown of a character to really not judge your character, depending on who they are, no matter who they are, but to look at them as just as a human being and where they're coming from. And um, because even if you're playing a bad guy or a good guy, you have to be able to, um, you know, play it from where they're coming from. And so I think looking at it like that and coming from a place of truth as well, and why they are the way they are, how does this character operate, how do they go to sleep at night, how do they wake up, I think specificity and all the details are really important. Um, and down to like how they dress and how they speak and their physicality, I think is really important. Something for me that's really important is I grew up dancing as well. And so dance and movement and physicality in terms of a character is really important as well. And that I think brings the character to life. So I tend to play towards a little bit more physical comedy or use my body to kind of express the character too. I think the theater experience is super unique for the actor and the audience because there's truly nothing like it. I mean, it's all about the present moment. It's all about being here and now with your audience and staying connected and staying present. I think every show is different. Every performance is different, and I think it's all about how, however you're feeling that day, whatever just happened before the show and bringing that energy into the show, it's always going to be slightly altered. But you still have to like go out there and do your show and still do the work that you've done. And I think that's can be really challenging and really rewarding as well. And I think also, yeah, there's definitely nothing like having a great moment on stage and you feeling it as the actor in the story, and then also knowing that other people are you feel the audience's energy, and they're all on the edge of their seats with you as well. I think is super special and unmatched. And I think as an audience member myself, I've definitely been to quite a few shows where I've just been mesmerized and I'm crying in my seat, or I'm watching people actually act out their hearts on stage in real life in real time. And that's, it's a beautiful thing, and it's really powerful. And you only see it once, so it's kind of unique in that way. I love musicals as an audience member because I think, again, I just have one who's always loved singing and dancing. I think naturally that was something I just gravitated towards. And as an actor, I truly believe that it's true that they do say that if, as an actor, if you start to sing or start to dance, it's because words are not enough. And so you sing to express something more, you dance to express something more. And there's nothing like seeing a great musical, say like West Side Story, and that music just moving you to tears. And so I think having an amazing score and a great book and great choreography can really change you, really have a huge impact on you. So I actually heard about Panic Productions through Barry Pearl. It was actually, I saw that Barry Pearl was directing 13 the musical prior to this with Panic Productions. And I actually wasn't able to see the production, but I had a couple of family members go see 13 the musical that he directed with Panic. And they said it was phenomenal and really great. And so I heard about it through the grapevine in that way. And then I saw there was an audition posting that Barry Pearl was directing Footloose with Panic. And so I didn't know a lot about Panic, but I knew Barry Pearl. And so I was like, well, let me look into that. And so that's how I found out about it. Well, funnily enough, I've never seen the musical live. I've seen the movie quite a few times. So I've known the story, and I love the story, and I've always loved the dancing. And but it's funny, and and we've talked about this throughout rehearsal, and that like Footloose is a musical that people go for the song and the dance. People don't necessarily go to Footloose for the book of the musical. It's not the strongest book, but that being said, there is some depth to the musical that we have found, that we've discovered over the rehearsal process, in that, this is a story about loss and a story about a family that has lost a family member, and a story about forgiveness and a story about redemption and a journey. And so it's actually a lot more profound than I was aware of. And I was like, oh, Footloose is it's got those fun pop rock ballads and stuff, and Holding Out for a Hero and Almost Paradise. Of course, I love those songs, But then actually being in the show, I was like, oh, there's actually a lot more, again, depth and profound moments that I didn't realize. And especially with my character, Ariel, she's a lot more troubled than I thought. She's going through a lot, as their family is as well, and they use song and dance as a way to kind of celebrate life again after the loss of their son slash my brother. Um, so I think that really drew me to the story, because I'm always interested in what, like, there must be something more. Like, why are we singing? Why are we dancing? Why are we telling this story? And what's the real truth underneath all this? And that's why I love doing it every night. I'm playing Ariel. She's the daughter of Shaw and Reverend Shaw and Vi. And she has grown up in a very kind of conservative religious town. And but I think she's always kind of been a rebel. Unfortunately, there was some partying going on, and one of her siblings, her brother, um, was partying with some friends, and they were driving under the influence, and they crashed, and they all died. And so ever since that incident, the family, her dad especially, who's a reverend of the church, has been especially strict about keeping everything intact and keeping everyone on track in terms of not doing any partying or celebrating anything, being very, you know, um, black and white. And I feel that I'm struggling to kind of find my way through this world, and that I haven't really found my voice yet. And I know that I don't want to live the life that my dad wants me to. But I know I'm actually smarter than he thinks, that I really want to branch out, and I want to kind of make a life for myself and not be so restricted, but also know that, this is not a way to live. This is not a way to kind of like, I don't know. There's a lot of sadness to her, which I had discovered as well. She's a little bit sassy, but again, I think that comes from her a defense mechanism of kind of having all these walls up. And she's playful, and she's again a rebel, and she wants to break out. So at the beginning, yes, she's very like following her dad's, path and like his rules and everything. And then you see as the story starts to progress, that she starts to kind of break out a little bit, and she's meeting with this bad boy that she has a relationship with, and that actually becomes an emotionally and physically abusive relationship, which doesn't end up turning it's not great. And she ends up meeting Ren, and he ends up being like a really great guy. But she's kind of like, you'll see throughout the story, she's kind of like really trying to figure out who she is, and kind of honoring her brother's memory. And then at the end, basically, through her relationship with Ren kind of makes an impact on her father, and her father has a change of heart, and says that the whole school can have a big dance, and they can all celebrate, and they could, party essentially. And so it's kind of a successful ending in terms of that. And so she's happy at the end. So there's quite a few main themes to the musical. I think it's a story about loss. It's a story about a struggling family and them trying to hold together, trying to stick together through the loss of their son and a brother to Ariel. They're trying to stay connected as a family. I think it's a story about a town that is trying to break out of these really strict religious rules. And not even that they're trying to say this is bad, but they just, they want to be able to celebrate their life, and they want to be able to like be kids and enjoy themselves. And they're not able to do that in such a strict environment. More than anything, this is a story about forgiveness. And I think just forgiving others, but also more than anything, forgiving yourself, and I know Reverend Shaw has a lot to do with forgiveness and forgiving himself for allowing the parting to happen in the first place. And I'm sure he's dealing with a lot of that guilt, and that's why he's so strict about all these rules. But you can never forgive anyone else if you don't forgive yourself first. So yeah, I think it's a lot to do with that. And let's see. I think just a story at the end of this, a story about celebrating life. And life is short, honestly, and surrounding death and whatnot. Like, it's just important to think about what really matters in life, and who truly matters, and like what's worth fighting for and what's worth letting go. What am I looking forward to when I perform it? Honestly, I think doing any theater production, I always look forward to performing it a slightly different way every night. And I think that's what's super fun about live theater is having, I mean, obviously staying with what you've prepared and what you've rehearsed, right? And keeping the integrity of the show and the story, but also finding something new, discovering something new about your character, connections with the other characters in that world. Or like in my story with Ren, the other lead, you know, finding moments where I haven't before, and kind of digging a little bit deeper in that way. I mean, it's also just such a fun like dance show, and Michelle Elkin's choreography is so fun to perform every night. And so honestly, I look forward to performing those, and you know, gaining all my energy to perform those because it's a lot, but it's been so fun. And also the singing. I love to sing the pop rock ballads. Honestly, genuinely, I think it's so fun to just let it rip. And to really just kind of embrace that kind of 80s pop rock. So I really do look forward to that every night too. Well, I can't say enough about our director and choreographer, enough good things. They truly are like the best dynamic duo. I've actually never worked with either of them before. Barry Pearl has been a longtime family friend of mine. And I know obviously of his incredible work professionally, but never worked with him from an actor-director relationship. And Michelle, I've never worked with as well, but we had a small world connection where she's good friends with my former dance teacher back in college. So it was all these like small world connections that we made, which is so funny. But they truly have put their heart and soul into this production, and given us such an amazing show. And Barry is so specific about what he wants and how he wants things to be, but also giving us enough freedom to allow ourselves to just express ourselves through our characters and through the story as well. And he's so dedicated and so warm and so kind, and so hilarious too, that he's made this such a fun process. And Michelle has really been incredible in that she's held us to the super high standard. And she said so herself, whether you're doing an equity show or a non-union show, I don't care what it is, but I'm putting you all this high standard, and you're all going to surpass that because I want you to raise the bar for yourself and embrace your highest potential. And I personally value that and resonate with that as well, that I think it's so important to put your best foot forward and be the best version of yourself. So throughout that process, it's been challenging, super rewarding, and just, yeah, I'm so grateful that I get to, perform her steps that tell the story, and give so much energy and life to the show, as well as, do all the notes that Barry has also given me too, in terms of the story and the acting. It truly could not have been better. We couldn't have had a better leadership duo, for this show. So I feel so grateful. I think two things that will surprise audiences about this specific production of Footloose is that, again, I think, you can look at Footloose from a surface level, and say, oh yeah, it's such a fun, like pop rock show and I'm just going there to have a good time. But I think we've also really found kind of the more sincere, honest moments of the show too, that I think also really the more emotional parts of the show, that will really, I think, bring the heart and soul of what this show is about and really touch audiences in that way too. Like they're going to enjoy themselves, of course, from the dancing and the singing naturally. But I think they're also going to walk out of the theater feeling very moved as well. And I think that that's when you know you put on a good show, that you gave them both, you know. And you had a and another thing, and Michelle, yeah, is truly fantastic. But she also is. She said so herself that she's all about choreographing dance pieces that kind of tell the story, that progress the story along. And I think Footloose is so iconic in that you kind of know certain dances are going to happen or certain choreographic moments are going to happen, but she makes it new every time. And I think she's really switched it up and made something new. And it's just, it's refreshing, I think, for audiences. And I think it's just exciting and different. And I think that's what's really cool about putting on new productions of Footloose is that or any musical, is you can do it in a different way within the lines of the story. I think people should come see this specific production of Footloose because I think we have such an incredibly talented cast of actors, singers, dancers, storytellers, led by, an incredible director and choreographer, that have also in their own right done amazing things in the professional world, that you will be seeing a show at a really high level, that maybe you weren't expecting, but a show that really showcases people in their best light. And that being said, people that also are just enjoying themselves on stage. Like we're having a blast up there and we're truly just having so much fun. The camaraderie up there, the energy. We're enjoying ourselves so much that we want the audience to enjoy themselves as well. And also again, bringing the heart and soul into the show. People should come see this because there's a deeper message behind all of the dancing and singing and smiling, and there's more to it. And I think, I think that's important for everyone to experience. Well, Panic Productions is very, very professional. They really also they take care of their actors. They take care of everyone in terms of the creative team as well. I think they've been around for I think like a few years now, even more. And I think they just keep getting better with all the productions that they put on. And I think that it shows a testament to who they know and the connections that they have in terms of the professional world and what directors and choreographers they bring in. And so I think any actor, first starting out or seasoned or whatever would want to be a part of that too. But again, it's been such a positive experience working with Panic Productions that I think, ideally you'd want to continue working with them. And I've seen people that have consistently worked with Panic too. And that's also a positive sign too. We have to have donations. We have to, there's no other way, especially I feel like, in Los Angeles, where theater, film and TV is more of why people come to LA or what people expect when they come here. Theater is not as, it's not like in New York. But that being said, we want to keep the theater alive here in Los Angeles. So we want to keep the theater going and thriving and successful. And so, there is a big theater community. There is, it's out here. And we do have fans of theater that want to come see our productions and stuff. So, the more word we get out there, and people need to continue to support Panic and theater productions, and I think the donations will really help. But I think having these like amazing productions such as Footloose that we're having right now, I think will only spread that more, and it only have people more inclined to donate just in general to putting on productions and for the future. I guess I really am just grateful. It's been such a really positive experience, and it's super fun to meet a great cast and have Michelle and Barry, and we're all, we all get so close over the last 4 weeks or a month or so, and then it's all over. So I think that's what's really fun about theater, is that you have these experiences where you do become really close over the last, month or so, and you put on a great show, and then you guys continue to kind of go your separate ways, but stay connected. But I think if we can share that with audiences, for the next 3 weekends that we have the show, then that's amazing. But I'm really grateful that I can be part of this story, and grateful to work with such an amazing team of people. Hi, my name is Hannah Battersby. I am playing Ariel in Footloose, and I hope to see you all there for some fun pop rock songs and dance and a deeper meaning at the very end of all of it. A little surprise. See you at the theater.